Mr. Akhil, I think you can answer this one. Like, how and when should the academic institutions start their journey of metaverse?
Okay, so first of all, before I think to tell you whether how to start the journey, I think the vision of metaverse in an education institution has to be very, very clear. See, to start with, it's a long-term process. Okay, even we have when we have started now, we are not expecting a 1 year success or 2 year success. It's a 5, 6, 7 year plan. The reason is when I say real metaverse, it's not only a VR experience. The vision looks like the student gets the immersive experience, but also gets the credential through blockchain and verifications done by the blockchain, other technologies coming up. And apart from that, the technology, the 5G, which is a backbone of making sure that there is smooth rendition, that also becomes part of it. So right now, the metaverse is a very nascent stage, even in the education sector, even if we are implementing it. Second very important point is regarding the academic regulations. Now, academic regulations does not touch metaverse if you're not talking about the way the teaching is going to be. I mean, as a startup, I think everybody can think of the innovative way to teach, but I mean, as a regulation concern, there are some limitations in the sense the way the evaluations are done, the way the students is given a degree, the way students is evaluated through the courses, all these things are regulated in an academic situation. So the innovation in the metaverse may not be limited, but the structure still remains the same in academics. I mean, how you are going to provide the output. So that's one thing. Lastly, but not the least, the most important factor is, I mean, we always talk about the case study in the class of PlayStations. The reason PlayStation are very famous is not because of the graphics, but the content they provide. I mean, the games they have. That's why they've beaten up Xbox. Same goes to Metaverse. The way the Metaverse is going to be successful is we have the content which is exactly fitting with it. I mean, the content should be able to give a storytelling experience. I mean, otherwise it's just a PPT. I mean, let me put it straight. We had many experiments we did in the metaverse. Okay, I'm taking so much time, sorry.
No,
But
no, of
if
course you
you're
can
giving a
continue.
normal PPT like what you give in Zoom, the student is not going to give anything out of it. I mean, the student will say, "Yaar, wo to Zoom mein bhi main kar leta. Why should I give it as a metaverse experience?"
True.
But when I am giving a simulation to the student, it's a different cup of tea altogether. But I have a limitation. I don't have simulation for everything, and I don't have an immersive experience for every subject as well. So I mean that's a challenge which is also a parallel industry to work on. I mean it's not only that that you're given a VR classroom, but there also should be the startups and others should work on how to make sure the content looks more storytelling. I mean the early stage of Byju's, I would say. I mean not now, but early stage of Byju's, the way they tried to do the 10th and 12th preparation storytelling inside their CDs may not be relevant today, but at that time it was very relevant. Same way, the metaverse also need the content so that people get hooked to it. I mean, that's very important point. The student should get hooked to it. A student who feels that, the the way I do the normal Zoom meeting is exactly same as what I get in metaverse. I mean, then you're not getting the customer. I mean, I mean that's the major point of it. So, and that's the market which I really, really want to work on. I mean, in the sense the content market is still not there in metaverse. There's a VR experience market already there, all around there, but nobody's making content. I mean, that's where I think they have to work. Regarding
Can I
academic
add on
institutions,
that?
they can start. Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Over to you.
No, no, please
Yeah, yeah,
complete
sure,
it.
sure,
Then
Ritika, you can.
I'd love to add
Okay, so
on.
lastly, if as per what we have experienced, if an academic institution wants to implement metaverse, first and foremost thing they should see what is the intent for deploying that metaverse for their university. I mean, if they're going digital, if they're going, to a new way of curriculum, new way of programs, metaverse is brilliant. Where this still there in traditional way of see, we should also understand we launched a new program for deploying the metaverse. We are not doing giving MBA HR in metaverse. Please understand that. I mean, if you're still in the traditional way, metaverse may not be directly fitting into you. You can supplement with it. I mean, it may not be the main dominant part of it. So you have to see whether what is the thing, and then comes the investment, and then whether you have the faculties who are exactly accustomed to work on it. I mean, these are the three, four things which is important for a university to work on. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, Ms. Ritika.
Yes, thanks. So basically, I think I really like this point that Sir put out. When so curation of each class is very important. So we work primarily with the K-12 sector, which is the school sector. So, curriculum mapping, when we work with schools, essentially we help them map their curriculum to various interactive activities. Some of them include VR simulations, right? So you divide each class into topics, and then you integrate those, and you help teachers with curated lesson plans. Once you do that, the important part is that not just it's not just the content, but the point is giving them a platform through which they can track each through those smart school boards, if the school has those, track each student's performance, create a recommendation curation of different journeys, and then integrate more of these VR and metaverse. When you talk about metaverse, it cannot just be about virtual reality. It has to be a combined and integrated system where you're not just offering content, you're offering VR content and metaverse being one part of it. But when you're talking about metaverse, essentially you're including performance tracking on a real-time basis, ensuring seeing where the strengths and weaknesses of every child lie, then also curating that child's journey. If you're doing that, then as a that should be the school's strategy towards implementing metaverse, because that's what is going to enhance better learning outcomes. And through metaverse in education, our core goal as an institution needs to be better learning outcomes, enhancing the way children learn, making them problem solvers. Those are targeted areas that a school needs to list down and see if those are outcomes that they're looking at, and then derive a metaversal strategy or an integrated learning strategy to actually implement, and then see and track learning outcomes, which over a 5-6 year course of time is going to develop and mature, through which the school and parents and us, maybe at a company level or maybe at a state or national level, will be able to derive and see what's worked better, what's not working so much, how are the children performing, what are the various trends to look at. So those the overall aim and vision of metaverse or incorporating web3 has to be basically this. And schools need to be, or educational institutions need to be a part of that entire, a cog in the entire process.
So creating something unique through metaverse for students. So since you all are early adopters, like Mr. Suraj rightly pointed out the disadvantages for early adopters, what do you think are the advantages for early adopters of metaverse? Mr. Ashish, can you please highlight some advantages?
So first advantage is that we are trying to solve a real problem. This itself is a very strong motive to work on this. Of course, it has a lot of challenges, but as everyone mentioned, and I'll just add a couple of points, the challenge part of it. See, in our child's journey, what has happened in that, there are two significant issues which was not addressed, or I can say addressed, but not resolved to an extent it should have been. First, that child has not been curious about what they are studying, especially in the Indian education system. A lot has been, focus has been on the marks and others, but the curiosity at a topic level has not been, high. So just to give an example, like if the student has been, if there's no regulation, if child is left open, then there will be no classroom, because children will not go to classroom. They will be in the sports playground or in some other areas. Because that involvement in the studies has not happened to an extent, that they are curious and they want to learn more. And second has been the retention, the problem of retention among the students. So the way the content has been delivered has failed to register to an extent that, it becomes a lifelong lesson for any child those concepts that, like Ritika rightly mentioned in the earlier conversation, that the way digestive system was shown through VR, and the children was able to quickly grab the names of the enzymes and other things. It is because that the content delivery was able to register in the mind of the student. So that these problem statement, when it is very real to us and we are out to solve these problem statement, then it itself gives a huge motivation to face overcome all the challenges which we face. Other than that, of course, content development is a challenge, distribution is a challenge, school onboarding and convincing to adopt new technology is a challenge. Of course, these challenges are there, but on top of that, what I believe is the goal we are chasing. It is it's worth facing these challenges, I can say.
Mr. Suraj, do you agree with him? And what do you think are the advantages for early adopters of Metaverse?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm almost by the point which was rightly pointed out by this Ashish sir. Yes, no doubt. The first mover are like they always have advantage because basically they are paving the way for this metaverse. Whatever we are thinking, the metaverse will take the shape of that only, right? And need not to mention, yes, the content creator for content creation is the biggest problem, right? And apart from this, we have certain advantage. Yes, right now we are thinking about say virtual avatar, right? Sooner or later we have to change this virtual avatar into the realistic avatar, right? So those who can do it, right, I guess that metaverse will be flourish.
So various education metaverse startups are now all set to offer immersive learning experiences for students. And since we are talking about learning in metaverse, then it's needless to say that learning in metaverse is not possible without aid of virtual reality headsets. And they bring along some challenges such as motion sickness, high cost, eye strain. So your views on this and how can this be tackled, Mr. Akhil?
So first of all, we did this experiment with and without VR headset. Okay, I mean, the student can also log in through the laptop and get inside the room. The only thing is slightly the immersive experience gets slightly limited. I mean, they have to use the keyboards to keep moving here and there. So, but we also use the VR headset. But we also made sure that the VR headset does not use more than 20 minutes because we also understood that more than that is also a bigger challenge in terms of the students not getting habitual to it, and it can have other issues as well. But we have not experienced any of them at this moment because we made sure that the duration time is not more than 20 minutes. That's one thing. But regarding the challenge of the VR headset, let me tell you something very, very frankly that the kind of VR headset you are looking at today is the very nascent initial stage of VR development. Okay. If you look at the next 4 to 5 years, the VR headset is going to be reduced to a mere, size of your normal glass which you use in your day-to-day work. Because every company is working on it. Because this is an issue not for India or anybody. Everywhere or anybody, the weight of the VR headset is an issue because of the immersive experience and the weight. It has slight issues in terms of alignment and dizziness. But that issue is there with everyone around. So every company, if you look at, including Facebook, they're all working on to reduce the size of the VR glasses. So I would say that the device usage is not an issue to be solved for the next 2 to 3 years, because as time will go by, you will see that the reduction of the VR glasses, the size of the VR glasses. But most of the VR experience, as far as we have seen, the companies are giving the experience with VR, without VR as well. And that's the only way, because the VR is expensive. If you have, let's say for me to tackle 500 students in a class, inside spatial, I cannot expect that everybody will 30,000 cost VR or 50,000 cost Oculus VR headset. So what we provide them is some of the simulations we provide them as a lab, as what I think Ashish also said rightly, as a lab experiment where there are 10 to 15 VR headsets. They are all joined there and they experience the simulation inside it. That's all. But most of the classroom discussions happens by the experience through the laptop, because if you're proposing 20, 30 minutes, without VR, I think for them it's much easier to keep working inside the metaverse. With VR, it cannot be more than 20 minutes right now. That's how it is.
So not more than 20 minutes. Mr. Ashish, do you agree with him?
Yes, I will just add on top of that, and this again is kind of an advantage of early adopters. So of course the ecosystem comes with some kind of issue, like it has been reported somewhere, like dizziness and others. We have not faced it in our span as well, but we are very cautious when we design our content, and this is the one advantage being early adopter, is that since we have been discussing with the students, we have been there in the field, and we have more than 1 year of experience now running a lab. We understand where students are comfortable and where students are becoming uncomfortable. So we have changed our content to the extent that it becomes suitable to them to consume those content and does not feel that dizziness or anything else, because the VR comes with a lot of options. You can move inside, you can roam around, you can do a lot of things which to some may make uncomfortable. But then this is the insight which is very, very important in the content design. So that content has been designed in a way, we have to, like as a company, we have to think that it has to be designed in a way that becomes comfortable for most of the students. And I completely agree, more than 20 minutes should not be allowed. It is not that they cannot take it. It is just that it is the right way to do a thing is to allow 20 or 25 minutes at a stretch. Then you should take a break, and then you have consumed a lot in 20-25 minutes to grasp and to enjoy, and it relaxes the mind and of course to comprehend what you have learned as well.
Ms. Ritika, would you like to add to what Mr. Ashish mentioned?
I think they pretty much encapsulated it very well.
Great. So moving on, there are some critical issues involved too, whether it is cyber security, identity theft, data security, compliance, vigilance, then network vulnerability and others. So how can we tackle these issues, and should the government, like Mr. Ashish also said, Mr. Akhil said that, should government regulate Metaverse in order to tackle distraction and its misuse? I think we should start with Mr. Akhil only.
So, should government regulate Metaverse? I think they are regulating it. The new digital cybersecurity act, which is coming up in the next 2 months, the draft is already ready. So, as far as we from the telecom minister, IT minister, what we heard is it's already the regulation of Metaverse as well as blockchain is in place. It will be formulated, and the reason why they will be regulated. See, we should also realize there are 2-3 other issues. I know I may not be this form to discuss, but I think there are many issues. It's not about the issues regarding only cybersecurity. Imagine the fact now what happens is, let's say Metaverse becomes a very important part of the education system or any system for that matter. Now, what is the challenge in OTT? Now, if you look at OTT market, the challenge is that, let's say I love one movie, okay? And that movie, especially in a particular OTT, which I don't have the subscription. I don't want the subscription also because it is not Prime or Netflix or something. But I have to deliberately buy that subscription because I want to see that particular movie. Same is happening in the Metaverse market, because everybody is providing different features. But the consumer, sometimes what happens is for just one particular feature, he may have to go to one particular company to other company, which may also become a problem. I mean, everybody is giving a different feature. So there is a regulation which is coming on interoperability as well as a common standard for Metaverse. So that what happens, the consumer should, it is good to have choices, but it should not be in such a way that, you have to buy different subscriptions for different use. I mean, that may not be good for the consumer. So that is one challenge which is the regulation is addressing. Second challenge is the content inside metaverse. I mean, in the sense, no, I'm not talking about the content. I mean, like teaching methodology and all this. People are putting their content without looking at who the audience is, what kind of audience is, or what should be around. Because there are, I mean, I don't want to name the platform. It's an open platform, so you see many things happening inside it. So that regulation is also coming up. Apart from that, cyber security is a very important factor, which is also coming up. But as I said, I think before also, the real metaverse is when you have the VR experience, because you have blockchain, you have other things which is coming, which cumulatively come is told as metaverse. So the cybersecurity bill is also addressing that part. That when how to define a metaverse, whether is just a VR experience is called metaverse. No, it may not be. So, I mean, once the definition is which comes out in the regulation, I think everything will be sorted out automatically. So then people can really say, okay, this is a metaverse company. So these are the standards they have to meet and all those things. So your cybersecurity threat also may slightly go down because you have to make sure that all those standards are being met to be called a metaverse company. So I mean that's a very important part. So I mean I'm waiting for the next 2 months because the Digital India Act and cybersecurity bill both will address metaverse and blockchain together. I mean that's what the main point is. Over to other web panelists.
Mr. Suraj, your views on this?
Yeah, definitely hackers are the biggest problem in terms of metaverse, if we say, because we access metaverse by the internet only. So if hackers have access to the internet, they can create your digital replica, they can create a digital avatar in the metaverse, right? They can they can capture your motions of the fingers, they can access your PIN, etc., like your bank account details and everything. Like your conversation with me or our conversation that can be recorded, that can be accessed by the hackers, and like the privacy and etc. Like, so definitely these are the challenges, obviously, and they will remain there until like some regulations are has to be put by the government.
Ms. Ritika, would you like to add to what Mr. Akhil and Mr. Suraj said?
No, so these are very real concerns. So we're also waiting for the Cybersecurity Act. The challenge also is that, ensuring that even COPPA and your POSCO, norms are sort of met over here. Because one of the things that, we face and we are working on is ensuring, so we also, so at STEM Metaverse, children can also upload their own NFTs, right? And of course, there are credits that are awarded to children for uploading those NFTs, which can be used to subsidize any upskilling STEM-oriented course that they want to take. But, the point over here is that, that legal regulation that is required to ensure, when you are assigning an NFT to a child or a student, how is that, there needs to be those typical standards in place. Because there are, how is that information going to be saved in Web3? There are different, of course, decentralized system security is definitely possibly easier to manage, but then those standards are very, very important. And we're also working towards them because and we are taking very, very small baby steps currently to ensure that, security is one of the foremost things that I think are a concern for all of us, I think, out here, especially if you're working with children. So these are concerns, looking at solutions to them. But, this is also an evolutionary space. And I think everybody is looking at solutions for these concerns. But my only submission here would be to ensure that your POSCO and your COPPA guidelines are also integrated into this so that it becomes easier for companies like us to follow a set guideline and pattern. So, yeah, but then this is a very, very real concern.
Mr. Ashish.
Yeah, of course. I think a lot has been covered by all of them. So the moment we start entering our personal and sensitive information on any platform for that matter, then it becomes a concern, and then any breach of data of those, it is a challenge, and that has to be regulated. And the kind of the potentials Metaverse has, it is like a boundaryless environment where all of global, from all of the world, people can come and join, interact, and then in that exchange there are data involved. So those data needs to be protected. So there is no doubt. I believe the regulation will have to come at a global level, and of course it has to be adopted at a national level, tailor-made to suit the local condition as well. So yeah, it's a concern, and I'm sure that authorities are looking into it, and they will be able to deal it sooner or later the way they have dealt in the past with other similar things as well.
All right. So thank you so much for being on 3.2 TV. It was really great having you all on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So I was joined by Ritika Kumar, co-founder and CEO STEM Metaverse, Ashish, co-founder Metabook XR, Akhil Damodaran, cluster head UPES, and Suraj Sharma, founder and CEO Vediphile. They shared insights on the future of Metaverse and how it is going to transform the education sector. Keep watching 3.2 TV for more such interviews. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. And for instant updates, do press the bell icon. This is me, Vishakha Thakur, signing off.